Good morning again. It is so awesome to see some of the same people from Monday on here. Again, my name is Brent White. I am your elementary education associate at the State Department and the Office of Assessment and Standards. So today we're going to talk about blending the cross-cutting concepts to develop student discourse. So first, we're going to start off with a phenomenon. And this one is called Inverted Bottles. And so I'm going to play the video twice. The first time, I just want you to watch and enjoy. And then I will be stopping it at a certain time on purpose. And then I'm going to show it again, and then we'll do another waterfall protocol for questions. We're going to play the video twice. Again, just watch it first. I use the strategy when I can in my classroom, just because we don't always get everything on one viewing. So there will be sound, and the sound's not too important, but we will include that. All right, so I'm going to play the video again. And then this time, if you will just type in question in the chat, but do not hit enter until I count you in. Okay? So just go ahead and just write at least one question. If you have more than one question, of course, put more than one question. And it can all be on the same, chat line. And then we'll do that waterfall protocol. And again, I'll count you in, and then they will all flourish. No problem, Lindsay. We're just recording this again for everybody across the state that they can view it asynchronously. No problem at all. Oh, apologize for that. All right, so go ahead and type your question or question in the chat, but do not hit enter yet. And then I'll count you in, and then we'll all hit enter together. And if you have more than one question, that is completely fine. It can all be on the same chat line. You've got another 30 seconds. All right, so I'm gonna count you down and you'll hit enter in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hit enter. Great question. What would make a difference if blue had hot water and yellow cold water? Why do the bottles on the left change green and the ones on the left stay separated? What is happening in each bottle? What are convection currents? And why did you only use those colors, dyes for the demo? Excellent. And why does the cold on top not mix with the hot and the hot on top not mix? What is changing the color being on the top or bottom matter? Great question. So now what I want you to do is connect your question. See if we connect our question to one of the 7 cross-cutting concepts. So here are the 7 cross-cutting concepts. And we have pattern, cause and effect, scale, proportion, and quantity, stability and change, systems and system models, energy and matter, structure and function. So you can try to connect your question. And what you can do in the chat, if you hover over your bubble, and it might allow you to reply. Okay? And you can do that, or you can just type in the chat that mine is connected to this cross-cutting concept. So try to identify, see if you can relate your question to one of those 7 cross-cutting concepts. You have patterns, cause and effect, scale, proportion, and quantity, stability and change, system and system models, energy and matter, structure and function. Or if you want to reply to someone else's comments and you see a cross-cutting concept in someone else's, and you can do that as well. Uh, Jacqueline edited hers, which is great. All right, talking about structure and function. She saw structure and function about the yellow and the cold water did have the warm and cold water did have a function. And she saw stability and change. Excellent. All right, so Emily saw about the mixing, that there's some energy and matter and cause and effect at play. Excellent. Heather saw with Emily's as well about scale, portion, quantity, and or stability and change. Okay. Scott saw cause and effect. Would using different colors change the effect of when the colors join? Excellent. So does someone want to either unmute or type in the chat about what they think is actually like what's going on here with these bottles? Any science concepts that work here with the inverted bottle?
I was thinking transfer of energy with the hot and the cold.
Okay, excellent. Definitely some transfer of energy between hot and cold water. Excellent.
I was thinking the same thing.
Okay, excellent. So which one would have energy transfer? Get about the movement of particles as well. And those.
I thought stability and change just because they stay stable until they mix.
Oh, wow.
And then they change.
Excellent. Good. So there's a stability in one of them, or they do stay stable until they do end up mixing. One, again, changed a little bit more than the other bottle. So another name for this experiment and these bottles, and someone mentioned it in their initial question about convection current. Okay. And that's ultimately what's going on here, that the transfer energy is happening through convection. Okay. And so convection boils down to density. Okay. So when the cold water is placed on the bottom, the cold water is more dense and the hot water is going to be on top, you're not going to have much mixing. You just had a little bit of mixing right there, like at the rim of the bottles, because okay? They're already less dense and more dense. It's already separated out. Okay? But then when we put the hot water on the bottom and the cold water on top, that's when we see that mixing, okay, to make the bottle green. Okay? Because the warm water, the cold water is going to go down, warm water is going to go up. And so that creates that transfer energy in that matter, okay, and allowing those two substances to mix together. And I think they just chose yellow and blue just so that you would see the green, would be kind of more visible for, on the video. So it shouldn't matter, what liquid's there, but that'd be a great question the students would have. Like, okay, I'll show it to you with different colors and see how it changes or doesn't change. I used to do this in the classroom live. Because sixth grade used to be talking about convection. I thought the easiest entry point when talking about this was to talk about density. And so I get used to do this live and have hot and cold water in bottles and have my little card to mix them. Through trial and error, I did it over a sink. um, and it didn't work out sometimes, but I practiced, and then I found this video and I was like, oh, this would be so much easier just to show the video, a lot less messy. But again, a great entry point. Again, they're excited, excited about the phenomenon. And again, great entry point in talking about, density and warm and cold air, also with some movement, of particles, and that warm substances move quicker than cold takes them out. So any questions or any comments about the inverted bottle? And I intentionally call them inverted bottles rather than convection bottles because I don't kind of want to give away. Give it all away. So again, a lot of people saw, there are multiple cross-cutting concepts at work. Like it's not just one explicit one. That's going to be again a kind of a theme that these are going to be almost everywhere in any scientific concept. But what's going to be important is that as teachers, we be intentional about making those connections for students, especially elementary students. They don't know what their thinking is called. And so we need to do that. Like that's a pattern. As a teacher, you can say that's a pattern, and then the kids are like, "Oh, I can do patterns." They don't know. They don't. You have to name it for them. All right, so just some quick norms. Everybody's doing a great job of being present. Okay, I know we all have outside lives and everything at us. If you need to leave for a moment and take care of anything, please know that we're all professionals, okay, and that you can take care of what you need to take care of. I never have a problem with people valuing perspectives. Okay? Even within your district, different population of students are coming with different sets of knowledge and understanding of science, okay? And we all have different teaching levels as well. Definitely share your thinking, okay, just like we already did, either in the chat or if you feel comfortable to come off mute. Emily again is going to be co-pilot for me, so if I miss something in the chat or something that needs my attention, she'll let me know, and she'll also be helping me out posting links for me, and definitely ask questions, who, what, when, where, how, where did I find something, what's this, why this, and everything, because again, this is for you, so I want to make sure that you're getting out of it what you need to get out of it. All right, so the first thing is Emily, if you'll drop in that pre-assessment chat, that link in the chat, and then I also have the QR code for your convenience as well. So it's going to be very similar to the previous one. Okay? It's going to ask you some questions, okay? And then do some self-reflection. Going to ask you about identifying. Can you identify the cross-cutting concept? Maybe not necessarily from recall, okay? But if you saw a little list of them, or that you could pick out the cross-cutting concept. And we're going to explain how the cross-cutting concept is connected to student sophistication in science, okay? And talk about how to use the cross-cutting concept as lenses. And also you can record any learning so far on your note catcher as well. Excellent. Thank you so much for that. All right, 2, 3, 1, 2. Yeah. So again, hopefully by the end of today, we make a step forward. Okay? If you rated yourself as a 1 and you get to a 4, excellent. But just know that that is not necessarily expectation. Okay, we just want to make a step forward in our thinking. Okay, because that'll take time to process everything. Just and so it does take. Just know that I am not a miracle worker, going from 1 to a 4. But again, making steps forward. I can get you from 1 to a 2, a 2 to a 3, or a 3 to a 4. That is great. So learning targets, I just turned those pre-assessment questions into wording targets. Work on identifying the cross-cutting concept, explain how the cross-cutting concepts are connected to student sophistication, and then using these cross-cutting concepts as lenses. So let's talk about these cross-cutting concepts. Okay? They are dimension 2. And when we talk about the 3 dimensions of science, there are 7 themes that span across all sciences. So whether we're in life science, earth and space science, physical science, or if we're in that ETS, the engineering aspect of science. So it is an organizational framework or a schema, okay, for students to connect or organize their thinking. Now, this got misbranded, I believe, when this document first came out, that these were quote unquote a new part. Okay. They were in the front matter of the 2014 document. But give me a thumbs up or a reaction if you always read the front matter of documents. That's pretty much what I thought. Okay. Nothing statistically outliers with that. So I would just encourage you, just professionally, to read that purpose and use page, especially with our documents that we are putting out. We are being intentional in our language with documents that these are instructional documents and these are state assessment documents. So we're being purposeful in that. Okay? And again, it just gives you kind of some background for it as well. So they, weren't explicitly a part of the 2014. Again, we go into a standards document and we're going to find our grade level and we're going to get all the information that we need. And so that's why it kind of got misbranded. It was something new. But what I think you're going to find is that these have always been there. They've been in the background. And again, as I alluded to earlier, it's the ask now is to intentionally bring them to the forefront and to name them for students. And so again, don't let the assigned cross-cutting concept that is in the standards document for that performance expectation. Just like with the science engineering practices, do not let that limit any classroom instruction. Because these cross-cutting concepts, this is where the student discourse comes in. This is where students are sharing their thinking and making connections. And if my assigned cross-cutting concept we assess at a state level is patterns, and a kid he connects it to a cause and effect, okay, I'm going to go down that road with them. Okay, they're sharing their thinking. Okay, they're making a connection, and really, a lot of patterns are the result of a cause and effect relationship. That this cause and effect happens, and it creates a pattern. And so I would just I don't want to shut down a student's thinking. Like, no, we can only talk about patterns. And, we just want students to share their thinking and to have that student discourse. So to show that these are all in all sciences, okay, let's go ahead and take one of them. Let's take energy and matter. Okay, and let's connect that to life science. And then I'll ask you to connect it to physical science, and then earth and space science, and then to engineering or like human design. So let's start off with life science. Either in the chat or if you feel comfortable to come off of mute, what are some examples of where we see energy and matter in life science and things that are living?
Photosynthesis.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. photosynthesis. We see it in food chains, food webs, food pyramids.
You see it in humans. We have to
Right.
eat food in order to have energy.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. We are heterotrophs. We have to take in energy. Okay. I used to joke with my kids, they're like, well, I can make my own, the kids be like, well, I can make my own food in the kitchen. So make me an autotroph. I'm like, no. we have to we have to consume food. And we're not green, so that's so food chains, food webs, photosynthesis, human consumption. Anywhere else where we see energy and matter in the life sciences?
Would life cycle be one?
Oh, yeah. It creates and it has to have energy to go through a life cycle, right? The energy is consumed, okay, to maybe get to the next life cycle. Absolutely. Let's shift our focus to physical science. Where do we see examples of energy and matter in physical science? And again, if you either come up mute or you type in the chat.
I'm thinking about all of the, there's so many energy, PEs, like in fourth grade, particularly with waves, with, energy conversions, energy transfer, all of that is related. The DCI is all related to energy, so it's a natural fit for the CCC to be energy and matter.
Absolutely, yeah. So lots of energy with physical science in the PEs for fourth grade, and PE is just short for performance expectation. And so we see with energy, with waves, the movement of energy, okay, and also energy transfer, and also a lot, fourth grade with processing energy and communicating uses waves. So it's all in there. Excellent. Where else do we see energy and matter with physical science? Oh, Lindsay, yay, I'm so glad you mentioned kinetic and potential energy. Okay, excellent. That is great. And the best example of potential and kinetic energy, I always talk about a roller coaster. Okay, elastic energy, exactly. And so with roller coasters, I used to tell my kids if you ever look at a roller coaster, that the first hill is always the highest. And someone would be like, oh, really? Yeah, because it's the total, when you're at that top of the first hill, you have the total amount of energy for that system, for that roller coaster. So no hill could be higher than the first hill. Okay? Because law of conservation of energy, we cannot create energy and make it up a hill that's higher than the first hill. Now it might look like it's taller, but it is not. Oh, a pendulum. Yes, I love pendulums. And my kids loved Newton's cradles. Those are so kids are fascinated by those. And I was fascinated with them as a kid as well. They love the Newton's cradles. Here you go. the movement of energy, okay, potential, and kinetic. That's great. Thank you so much for sharing. Anything else with physical science where we see energy and matter? Also with electricity. Okay. Electricity is physical science. Yep. So electric currents are great as well. All right, Earth and space science. What are some examples we see energy and matter in Earth and space sciences?
I'm thinking about changes in the earth, which were like second grade and fourth grade, where we look at fast and slow changes and the energy that's created by plates moving with earthquakes or separating or coming together.
Oh, the plates, the tectonic plates are moving. All right, they're just slow. We're not gonna, always see the effects of it, even in our lifetime. That, they are moving. Excellent.
What about rotation and revolution?
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. And then connection to fifth grade, talking about revolution and and rotation, talking about the solar system. And the sun. How does the sun, for anybody, how does the sun give us energy and matter here on Earth, or drive energy and matter on Earth?
Are you talking about radiation?
Yeah. Radiation, or if I was telling my students, radiation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And what else is the sun? What else is the sun? We get it through the heat transfer through radiation. And then what systems on Earth does that help drive? Or what could it drive?
With the use of solar power.
Yeah, the solar power, absolutely. Okay. And that could lead us into the engineering, like the human design systems of energy and matter. So solar panels use energy from the sun. Excellent. And reusable, non-renewable resources, that would be a renewable. So let's make that shift to the engineering and human design systems. We talked about solar panels. Where else do we see energy and matter in human design systems or engineering?
You can also use the electromagnetic spectrum to
Yeah.
talk a lot about that.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So there are the different types of waves, the wavelengths. Okay. Absolutely. Okay. And then in fourth grade with that, we're not on a state assessment level. Okay, we are not expected the kids to know, everything about the electric, Roy G. Biv and the colors of the spectra, and everything like that. But is that probably going to come up in a classroom discussion or driving question board? Absolutely. Like, Mr. White, did you ever hear of Roy G. Biv? I'm like, no, tell me more. Okay. And so seeing that, doing that and doing a classroom investigation on that of, why do we see certain colors? Okay. And then what happens when people are, develop or born with color blindness? And what colors do they see? I had a gentleman a few months ago at Quick Trip. I was coming in, he was looking at the hat, and he stopped me and he said, "Hey, like I'm colorblind. Can you pick me out, a hat, like a non, a badly hat, you know." So it happened. People that was great. I was like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "What color is this?" Like he was, having, wanted me to um just make sure he was picking the hat that he would like. So it was great. We see energy and matter a lot with cars, right? They need energy, okay? Whether it be electric energy or fossil fuels, right? They need energy to go. So they're all around us, okay? No matter what discipline of science we're talking about, these cross-cutting concepts are present. And that's why it is a perfect place for integration among other subject areas, because they are so universal. Okay? That is a great entry point for integration. So can somebody either come up me or type in the chat, where do we see other subject areas in these cross-cutting concepts?
ELA,
Okay, what do you see ELA? What cross-cutting concept?
cause and effect, structure and function, patterns.
Do we have
Social
many?
studies too.
Yes, yes. Okay. Do we have many fiction stories without cause and effect? Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot of interesting ones. Do we gonna cross over into nonfiction, right? So there's definitely some cause and effect. Okay? And there's structure to certain types of writing. Okay. There's a structure to it. There's some structure for haikus. Like a haiku has a specific structure to it. Okay. And so stuff what you're writing for a purpose. So you want to follow a structure. And then it has a function. You are writing for that person. And I forget what else was mentioned there, Jacqueline. I forget. It left me.
Patterns.
Patterns. Yeah, patterns, kind of what structure and find like a pattern to certain types of writing. And we had other connections. We had the connections to social studies. I think Heather, you said social studies.
Yeah, I was just thinking about cause and effect when they talk about battles or patterns in war, systems of government. But I like Lindsay's better with math. The math connection is all over the map.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. And Lindsay, you can type in the chat or come up mute. Where do we see those math connections?
Geometry, measurement.
Yeah. Sounds like a screening scale, proportion, quantity. Okay. Maybe some pattern. Okay, this same measurement, use the same for that.
Another social studies connection is stability and change.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when we talk about that could be, governments as well, like Heather alluded to with system and system models. All right. Excellent. These are great entry points, all right, for integration. So we see connections to math, ELA, social studies. Right? Because again, these are kind of universal ideas here. Now, for more specifically ELA, and if Emily, you'll drop in the chat the read aloud link for me. So what I've done on this link that Emily's going to drop in, there are some read alouds that I have collected the titles of. And these read aloud scream the cross-cutting concept. Oh yeah, ratios, quantity, scale portion, quantity, interpreting charts, absolutely. Okay, all of that is in there. And again, you can make those connections. We did this in science, or even we have this scientific data, let's make these connections, okay, to what's going on in math and ELA and social studies. It's the same concept. And we talked about that Monday with the SATs about with ELA connections with, making a claim. Okay, that is all there. Okay. And so those read alouds are there that it's a running list, and my elementary ELA colleague, Mandy Hawker, has also reviewed it and has added some. And I cited where I got the majority of the list from. Okay? But that's to say, like, I'm struggling with this, I want to really highlight this cross-cutting concept here. What's something that I can do to show my students? And middle school students love being read to as well. Okay? So even if they're in middle school, like they're too old for this, no, they still love being read to. Especially, I think Heather, you moved to sixth grade. Sixth graders still they like being read to. So it's perfect. And then also, I wanted to mention, so we talked about the student discourse and questioning. So Emily, if you will drop that link for that STEM teaching tool number 41 for me. I want to make sure that you have access to this resource as well. So it is question STEM for students. So some student, you might have something like, I don't even know what to say. How do I frame my question, or how do I frame my response? Okay. This is a good list of sentence STEM. Now, I will say that they're maybe geared a little bit more toward upper elementary. Okay, so if you feel like they're too complicated for elementary, you can always change them and adjust them. But it's a great starting point. And of course, we don't expect kids to, we all talk differently and use different verbiage and everything else. Okay. So, they're flexible, but it's just to give you an idea, okay, of what questions or statements that students can use to promote, again, promoting that discourse. And also, in our performance target document, we have under our academic vocabulary, that we have question stems on there as well that are tightly aligned to the dedicated, what we call the dedicated assigned cross-cutting concept for that performance. So what I kind of, in a utopia classroom, I feel like I kind of imagine some of these like on popsicle sticks or sentence strips, and have them, available to students, either like at a group setting, or somewhere in the room, and then at a time, they can get out those question stems and have that discourse. And questioning is always a great, questioning is on the 4.0 rubric as well. Okay, for teacher evaluation. So that is a great way to promote that. And if you always look on our data reviews and everything of the instructional strategies to use, questioning is always on there as well. So again, asking those questions, and again, having them ask questions and to each other. Those are all great resources that I wanted to make sure that you can walk away with.
Love both of these resources and stealing both of them immediately.
Perfect. Yes. Do it. Yeah. They were with the STEM teaching tool 41. So they have other STEM teaching tools, and this one they just number them. So this is the 40, and I made comments on a draft for elementary ones. But I haven't seen where that elementary one is posted separately, or I don't know if they just revised the STEM teaching tool 41, included some elementary. I'm still trying to find out some guidance on that. I've reached out to a gentleman, and he teaches university and everything, so I know he's busy, and so I'm still trying to find some guidance on that. 'Cause I saw a draft, but I haven't seen it published, or I don't know if they just revised this one or what they ended up doing with that feedback. So, but definitely just a great tool. Again, adaptable. You know, if it's too high, or pick out the ones that you want. And it's a great planning tool. You know, have this out when you are planning, like, okay, these are the questions I'm going to ask, or I want students to ask each other. And that's really going to be planning your discussion and everything. So I think it's a really great tool. And I'll leave put this quote up from NSTA. And again, it's kind of confirming what we've already discussed. And this is a great point. Again, you can like organize your performance expectations by cross-cutting concepts, you know, about what, you know, see all these connections among all of these sciences. So what we're going to do next, we're going to do an activity called synectics. Okay, and it's a very funny word to say. What the synectics activity is, I stole it from my ELA colleagues. Okay? So synectics is a thinking strategy in which dissimilar topics, concepts, or items are brought together to create an unusual or creative comparison. And we're going to do this, and Emily, you will drop that link for the Google slide. I'm going to each assign you a cross-cutting concept. And you are going to make a synectic, a connection to the cross-cutting concept. And so on here on each slide, I have a template for you. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to think, connect patterns or whatever your cross-cutting concept is to a color. And then I have a sentence starter for you. Okay. And again, if you want to change the language of the sentence starter, you are more than welcome to. So you're going to connect patterns to a color. Then you're going to connect, for this one, it's patterns. So you're going to connect it to a food. Then you're going to connect it to an animal. And then you're going to connect it to a character. Now, a character could be a video game character, a book character, a movie character, a TV show character, and whatever you would like. And then we use the same sentence starter in each of those, like blank. If I chose red for a pattern, red is like pattern because, and then fill the blank. And you'll have editing right. Okay? And if you want to change the font, if you want to insert pictures, if you do whatever you would like to on your slide. Okay, so I'm going to give Jacqueline slide number 1, all right, with patterns. And slide number 2 is going to be Scott's with cause and effect. Slide number 3 is going to be Heather with scale, proportion, and quantity. Slide number 4, I'm gonna give to Emily, systems and system models. Slide number 5, I'm gonna give to Lindsay, energy and matter. And then I'll take the structure and function, slide number 6. And then I'll take stability and change as well. So again, you're going to connect your cross-cutting concept to a color, a food, an animal, and a character.
I apologize. I was trying to get my sheet to come up, my link, while you were explaining like your example. Will you give one more time of what it is exactly that you want us to do? I'm sorry.
Absolutely. Yes. So you're gonna I assigned to you, Lindsay, slide number 5 is energy and matter. And then
Okay.
you're gonna connect your cross-cutting concept to a color. You're gonna
Okay.
connect it to a food, you're gonna connect it to an animal, and you're connect it to a character. And the character could be a video game character, a book character, a TV movie character. Um, and then you can use the sentence stem. So if I chose, for example, red as my color, red is like patterns because dot, dot, dot. And then you can change the
Okay.
font,
Cute.
you can insert a picture, you can make it your,
Thank you.
you're so welcome. And then if you feel more comfortable doing this with your camera off, that is an option. And then let's see where we are. We have about 8 minutes. And let's see where we're at in 8 minutes. If we need more time. So we get Jacqueline, slide number 1, Scott 2, Heather 3, Emily 4, Lindsay 5, and then I'm going to take number 5 and number 6. All right, another 2-minute warning. Let's see where we're at in 2 minutes. And if we're not fully there, if we, can share our thinking, that is more than acceptable as well. Let's take a look at what we have. And I'll go first at the end to give some people some more time if need be. So I'll start off with slide number 6 was structure and function. Okay. So I chose for my color, I chose purple, because purple is a has a function of calming, the calming color. Okay. Structure and function are related to strawberries because how the seeds are structured and arranged on the outside of the strawberry. Otters, structure and function, how they keep calm and the population in check. Okay. And then for my character for structure and function, I chose Sugar, and because of the energy he gives in the 100-Acre Wood. And then I also had slide number 7, which was stability and change. I chose red because it could be red by itself, or you can add green to make yellow, so it could change. Stability and change for eggs, you can eat them whole, or you can scramble them. Okay. For my animal, I chose a butterfly because the butterfly will go through a metamorphosis. And then for my character, I chose Fraser Crane from Frasier because stability and change on and off through the there was a second series on Paramount Plus, but during the first run of the show, he worked on and off for the same radio station, KACL-AM. All right. Would anybody like to? Let's just go backwards here. I think we got some people finished here. So Lindsay, if you want to come off mute or type in the chat and tell us about your connections, your significant.
Did you call on me?
Yes, I was gonna go backwards.
Oh, okay, cool. No, that's fine. Cool. So I had energy and matter, and I was on the struggle bus for a little bit with this one, but because it wouldn't pull up what it pulled up on my phone. But for color, I just put the colors of all your chakras,
Oh,
and
cool.
they're different energy centers in the body. So, and which is associated to a certain emotion, which is going to help you um manifest whatever matter you want in the 3D. I don't know.
I love that.
I went out there with that one.
Yeah, well, that's great.
Animal, I picked a hummingbird, energy and matter. I guess they're tiny, but don't they use the most energy? Like they beat their wings like the fastest. Am I correct on that?
Yep, you are.
Okay. Character, energy, and matter. Taylor Swift is doing 3-hour concert show, so she is using a lot of energy and is she matters a lot. So she's changing the economy. So
Yes.
that was a funny joke. And then food, I tried to find an energy bar, but I don't think I'm doing this assignment right. I'm just kind of made it into my own. Am I correct with that?
And you are doing the assignment more than perfectly. It's amazing.
Okay, because at first I was saying food is like you have a food energy bolus, and the bowl that's energy, and then it's going to go through the digestive tract, and then it's going to get converted into matter in forms of waste or like in our cells. But I did not find a bolus. Instead, I wanted to find a verb energy bar because it gives you energy and it's made of matter. But you know, they gave me
100%. Yeah, no, you're good. Absolutely. Great connections. And again, that's what's kind of fun about this activity is that you can make these weird and unusual connections. You're like, that really does connect. Like you find those connections. No, it's great.
got nervous. I don't like talking, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I hope I did it right.
Yeah, no, you're good.
I'm not good on the spot having to think
Right.
fast.
I mean, really, I only gave you 8 minutes, so if given more time, we would have, had a lot more and everything. So it's great. All right, Emily, slide number 4, you had systems and system models.
Yes, I had systems and system models. So relating parts to a whole. And I also, because the nerd in me went directly to the framework, and I'm like, what is systems and system models? What are all the parts of that? So thinking about the assumptions and approximations that have to go into a model, it's not going to be an exact replica. So for color, I chose like the color grid, or think about like the color wheel, because there's all those parts and pieces. They work together like a system because they can combine to make the different colors on that grid. And it also shows how they relate to each other. For food, I went with shepherd's pie because there's all those different pieces and layers and combinations that have to go together to make the entire pie. And it also ends up looking like a model of, I don't know, the earth or something like that. For my animal, I chose a platypus because it's so perfectly evolved and has all of these pieces to make up this whole weird animal with its webbed feet and its duckbill and fur. So it's all of these pieces from all of these different classifications of animals, but in one animal. And then for the character, I chose Moira from Schitt's Creek because of all of her different wigs and all of her different personality elements that combine together. So parts of a whole, and the whole of Moira is just amazing. So that is my character.
Love it.
And
what
I
about
love
the-
this assignment. This I've never thought about doing this with the cross-cutting concepts. And again, stealing.
Yes, yes. Steal from the person that stole it. Let's continue the stealing. Yeah. And what I love about this, you really get to see people like learn about people through this too, like their interests, like that, where they're making those connections. And again, I stole this from we do this when before the ELA team went out in the fall. They did like a preview, kind of like a run through rehearsal, and they engaged us in this activity, and I was like, okay, I want to steal this. I don't know where yet. I don't know where it fits yet. But when I was developing these sessions for virtual, I was like, okay, this is a good fit for it. Everything is great. Yeah. Vocabulary, absolutely. Yeah, it's a great tool. Kind of like a play on a Freyer model. But again, it's kind of like you don't think they connect because it seems like really far out there. But then you're like, wait a minute, it does connect. Like this is there. I love it. All right, Heather, slide number 3, if you will share for us. And you will come off mute for us.
Sorry. For color, I chose white light. Because for scale, proportion, and quantity, it's just a combination of all the colors in the spectrum. So, and it changes based on how close you are or what you use it for. For food, I just use food in general. So there's kind of a plate all divided up proportionally and how much quantity you should have for each. My character was Mickey Mouse. It's kind of hard to see the one picture, but it's little game pieces of Mickey and friends. And then you have a drawing of Mickey and Pinocchio, and then you have an animation drawing kind of starting and then growing larger. The animal was just a horse. I just chose a horse because that's what I liked as the drawing piece. Again, I went back to art for scale and proportion and quantity. You could draw all of these animals. You can, throw it with a green screen, see what you can do with it. But that's my slide.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. I love it. It's great connection. Again, I love the like the food proportions, quantity. And I did this activity with other groups, and they chose Mickey Mouse as well for their character. So there's something about scale, proportion, quantity that's resonates with Mickey Mouse. So it's great. All right, Scott, if you want to your slide number 2, cause and effect.
All right, I didn't choose certain colors. I just said colors in general, like looking at them affects our emotions. So that's the cause and effect.
Absolutely.
I wasn't sure if I was doing this right too, and then the food, I just did, I don't know if you can even see the logos, but it's a bunch of fast food.
Yeah.
And the effect is like having a heart attack if you just eat nothing but that. And then as you can see, I did chameleon for an animal because they change their color. That's the effect of seeing the predator. And then because thought I was doing it wrong, I didn't get to the character yet, but I mean, there's so many, and there's so many characters to choose from with cause and effect because that's what every story is about.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there change? So.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Thanks so much. Yeah, you did something more than perfect. Okay. Again, seeing all the different colors have do certain emotions, the effects of the food that we put in our bodies. Okay, is excellent. And then the chameleon, and then lots of characters to choose from any story. So it's great. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jacqueline, slide number 1. You had patterns.
I, for color, couldn't pick one, so I said a rainbow is like a pattern because it always follows the Roy G. Biv protocol. Starts with red and goes all the way down. I said a zebra is like a pattern because they all have black and white stripes, and when they get together in a herd, it's hard to pick one out. Food is a hamburger because it always starts with a bun, then you add your condiments, your toppings, your meat, and another bun. And I said Sheldon Cooper is patterns because he is highly regimented in all his routines and gets upset if it doesn't go exactly his way. So it has to be exactly the way he wants it done.
Yeah, I feel like we all have a little Sheldon in us. we all have routines and everything. So it's great. Another group for food with patterns did Chick-fil-A, those Chick-fil-A drive-through. Because the pattern, like one car, and everything, which every time I go through Chick-fil-A, someone always ends up like not following the pattern. Like they always go ahead and then it throws everything, throws everything off. That always, like during COVID, the state fair was only gonna do a drive-through like for the food and everything. I was like, the only way I will go to the fair drive-through if the people from Chick-fil-A are running that drive-through. Like that's my only caveat. I was like, I will not go unless Chick-fil-A is running it. Great, and everybody did a great job. And again, this assignment, this activity is really kind of open-ended on purpose, just kind of seeing where you're making those connections. And again, it's making those connections stick for you. Okay, I can give you the definition of patterns. I could give you the definition of system models and all of these cross-cutting concepts. And then, it might stick on a surface level, but now you're like, okay, pattern, in the studies, kind of like a hamburger, you have different layers and, and everything. There's a pattern to it. And that's going to stick more in your head or in the student's head, to make those connections. So again, seeing those kind of weird, I don't know what this is, but then it actually ends up making that connection. Great. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and putting yourself out there with something that is new. We're going to stick with the cross-cutting concept that I assigned you. Okay. So again, Jacqueline with patterns, Scott cause and effect, Heather scale, proportion, and quantity, Emily systems and system models, and then Lindsay with energy and matter, and then all have structure and function and stability and change. And on page 2 of your note catcher, there is going to be space for you. We're going to watch this video. And then in your column with your assigned science and engineering practice, you are going to use your cross-cutting concept as a lens. And I want you to look for examples of that cross-cutting concept in the video. So if I have stability and change, so I'm going to be looking for where things are going to be the same or when and how things change. So just evidence of your cross-cutting concept in the video. And we're just going to use that lens. So just like we use different glass lenses, we don't wear, I'm wearing blue light glasses. I wouldn't wear these to protect from the sun because they're, I need to put on a different lens if I'm going to go out and being protected from the sun. We use different glasses maybe for reading. Okay. So I want you to think of these cross-cutting concepts as these different lenses that we can look through. You are not married to your cross-cutting concept. So if you see evidence of other people's cross-cutting concept, you can make notes of that as well. The video is going to have sound, but I am going to turn the sound off on purpose because it's a narration of what goes on. Okay. And for this, I'm just going to show the video just for time purposes. I'm just going to show the video once. If you can turn off your camera to prevent any buffering or connection issues, and I will do the same. And again, it does have sound, but I will be turning off the sound on purpose. All right, go ahead and continue to write down anything that you saw for your assigned cross-cutting concept. And then also if you saw evidence of another cross-cutting concept, you can make note of that as well. So in no particular order, if anybody just wants to type in the chat or come off mute, okay, and share their cross-cutting concept and then where they saw evidence of their cross-cutting concept or evidence of another cross-cutting
I can go first. I have the scale, proportion, and quantity.
concept.
I saw the number of worms depended on the number of vents. And the larger the vent, the larger the worm. So they were more in scale with the vent. There were a lot of crabs around each vent area, so maybe they get what's ever left over. So some seemed large in proportion to the vents, the crabs, and others seemed small in proportion to the vents.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you so much for sharing. Someone else, another group, another session one time, they had a scale, portion, quantity, and they looked at the zooming in and zooming out aspect as well, right, of the camera. So that was something that was really really interesting to me when they did that. I was like, oh, I love that.
I'll go. I had the systems and system models. And I was thinking about just the system of all the living things that were there, from what looked like barnacles or some kind of organism that had attached themselves to those little towers, and also the crabs. And of course we know there are microscopic organisms that are in the water. See like how all of those things are related to each other in a system. And then also the currents that are moving the water and whatever geothermal events are happening, moving all that stuff down there are part of a system.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Emily. It's almost like a mini ecosystem as well, like a snapshot of an ecosystem habitat. That is great. Thank you so much.
For mine, I noticed the animal being well hidden. The effect is I was able to get a free meal at the end. It looked like, or also that just because it's of the challenging environment, the effect is there's not going to be as much marine life compared to a coral reef or something like that.
Yeah. So there were the causes of being maybe so down in the ocean that the effect is there's not a lot of life. There's not a lot to choose from and everything. Because again, because of that environment. Excellent. Thank you so much, Scott. And that was Scott had cause and effect.
I had patterns and I really struggled with this one on the video. When Emily said the ocean currents, that's a pattern, the way the ocean currents flow. Also, I was thinking about the way the animals are hiding, and when an animal comes out, then they come out and eat, and then they go back. That was really the only connections I could see to patterns in the video.
Yeah, and those are awesome. Those are great patterns because again, if they're gonna the animal's gonna come out at a certain time, right? And so that becomes a pattern, whether we don't know if it's daylight or nighttime, on the surface of the earth. But again, it's gonna be a pattern. They might, sense something, and whenever they sense something, they come out. That's a pattern. And again, patterns and cause and effect are interwoven together. So sometimes it might be hard to see a distinction between the two. But no, I think you did. That was great. Those are great connections. And then I had structure and function, and I made connections to the environment as well. So they have certain structures, more specialized functions because of the environment that they are in. Um, and so some of them might be, and this kind of goes to stability and change, like there's some geothermal vents happening. And so, that's causing some change the amount of heat that they get. And there's change with the magma and the plates moving. And that affects, what kind of light would be there as well. So definitely a highly specialized organism is going to live down there and have specific structures and functions. Do you maybe see any for energy and matter? Any connections to energy and matter?
Um, let me clarify this first. Did our little crab friend, like, I applaud y'all for like being able to see all that because I definitely was like squinting. I was like, what is this? But it looked like our little crab friend got eaten. Am I correct? Like I saw like little bits and pieces of his like white little like claws like getting like I don't
What do
know,
we think?
going upwards in the ocean. I don't know. So this was my take on it that there are remnants of organic matter like on the hydrothermal vent, and eventually they're used as energy for other organisms. It looked to me like the crab got eaten by something. I don't know. It says that the worms eat chemosynthetic bacteria, so I don't know about that, but I put possibly energy for some kind of bottom feeder. I
Yeah,
don't know.
absolutely. You're right on. You're right on
Anyone
target.
want to
Yeah.
anyone want to add on or correct?
Is what's going to happen to organic matter? It is going to fall to the sea floor, right? And then there are bottom feeders in that ecosystem that they are going to, eat that decayed, matter decomposers, and then, and then all of that energy is going to, eventually, if not eaten by another organism, it's going to enrich the soil, not the soil, but the bottom of the ocean, right? And build that up. See? You're right on target.
To be as energy eventually, just energy matter cycle. But yes, I think I was more distracted on trying to see like what was going on in that video because that was some good camouflage.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not, I will agree with you, it's not like the clearest picture,
Well,
the clarity
how
of
can you at the bottom of the ocean? So, but yeah, no, nothing. Just comment.
It's a little challenging environment. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So again, seeing all this evidence of those cross-cutting functions. And again, just be able to look at them and identify them. But again, we saw some interwoven ones as well. It's like it's not clear. This could be this one, but that's okay. Okay, because I got you thinking. I had you share, okay? And I didn't tell anybody if they were right or wrong because we're sharing our ideas. Okay? In which, if I can get people, if you can get students to share their ideas, that's a 3/4 of the battle of anything. Okay, to share your thinking and why, and those sentence stems and everything that we talked about earlier do help. So on the third page of your note catcher, and you're probably thinking, okay, like this is so great. Again, you said utopia classroom. Like, how is this? What's some practical work with these cross-cutting concepts? So I'm going to show you a video. And again, I'm going to show it once because of time. It's about 7 minutes, I think 6 minutes. And what it's going to do is going to have Brett Molding, who is one of the writers of the framework for K-12 science education. He is going to be the teacher, right? And then he's going to be leading learners. And the learners in this scenario are teachers. Okay? So it's going to be him, leading it, and then the Brett Molding. It will say his name coming across. And he has lots of great things as well. And so he's kind of one of those people that, you identify with some people's research or line of thinking that, that I really, really like. And so there's some research and stuff that he's done on his own. And then if you look, you can see like what the teacher is doing. The teacher in this case is going to be Mr. Molding, and the learners are going to be teachers. And then see if you see any cross-cutting concepts, and what was the overall vibe of this activity. So again, if you want to turn your cameras off, that is more than acceptable. And I will do the same. And I'm going to share this with them.
As we think about science,
everybody can hear and everything correct, right?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Sorry, and I lost my menu of y'all. Thank you.
science and the nature of science, it would be great to start thinking about what are in fact those underlying concepts that we can teach, thinking about how that concept works and having that as the takeaway, conceptual understanding. Today, we're going to talk about cross-cutting concepts.
Okay, we need to describe the patterns.
We had the opportunity to work with teachers to model student science performances, and then to deconstruct that in conversations around how the framework and next generation science standards play out in classroom instruction.
And it points in the direction that the wind's blowing. That's a pattern.
Cross-cutting concepts are for the students to help them organize and make sense of the science. The way we've organized them is around causality, structure and function, systems, scale and proportion, change and stability, matter and energy, and then the last thing, pattern. Cross-cutting concepts have been around a long time. What is a new innovation is the fact that they appear in the performance expectation in the standards, which they'll be assessed with two other dimensions: science and engineering practices and disciplinary core ideas. That's really what's new. So when we engage you in a performance, we're going to be using three dimensions, but we're going to focus today on cross-cutting concepts.
In the past, teachers are familiar with the concepts and they've learned them through their schooling, but they're not always translating those to the students and making sure the students are understanding them. And so we need to shift those from being a tool for teachers to a tool for students to help build their understanding.
We want to engage you in a performance with a flag.
Tear some of it off, maybe.
In the performance, we engage them in a phenomena, flags waving in the wind. You can construct it how you want. We can go outside. We can do it in here.
So in the activity, the question was, why does a flag wave in the wind? What questions would help us explain what's going on? We needed to develop some questions about that and research some information.
For those students, when they encounter a new phenomenon, they begin with saying, what is the system I'm studying?
I would say the flag itself is our model.
What is the scale of the system? What is changing in the system?
So basically a flag is two triangles. The wave generates along the hypotenuse of this triangle.
Right.
And what is causing that change to occur?
Why that pattern, back and forth pattern?
Are there patterns that make sense in this phenomenon that I'm studying? and have them kind of construct an explanation.
It flats back and forth because it's like that Bernoulli principle.
Any other information? Here's the thing, you were saying something about gravity.
They went on the web for part of it. They went outside with the model. They investigated it.
What if you're right behind her, over her head?
You've got a consistent force acting on it. The task that Brett provided prompted us to think about cross-cutting concepts. And so we talked about things like how the wind was causing the flag to move, so cause and effect, how it related to energy because of the energy of the wind being transferred to the energy to the flag.
When you had it vertical, it acted as if it was which it wasn't, but it acted like it was in a vacuum.
We talked about what pattern can we observe in this system that we've seen before? How could we use a model to understand the system in a similar way that we've done? And so if students are doing that throughout their science education experience, then they will internalize those tools and be able to apply them in the future. It's more stable here, and you have gravity exerting a lot of force on it. So that activity helped me think about making the cross-cutting concepts more explicit. The biggest way is just Brett's approach to questioning.
The less wind, the less flutter.
More flat.
Uh-huh.
So we're looking at patterns there, aren't
Right.
we? And what causes the pattern to change? What if instead of a flag, I gave you a sheet of steel plate? Would it wave?
You need to have significantly more energy for that to take place.
What do you mean more energy?
We talked in the large group about what are some other examples where it does apply. And so I think that's exactly what the cross-cutting concepts are, is like where you can take something you learn in one setting and then connect it to other areas of that discipline or across disciplines.
And this is a scale question, one of the cross-cutting concepts. If this is my air particle, how large does that pole have to be? I saw the aha moments today among teachers. They begin seeing how important it is to frame their questions, to use question stems that come right out of the cross-cutting concepts. I want you to think about the cross-cutting concepts in light of instruction. How do I get the cross-cutting concepts to be featured in my classroom? Yes?
You taught systems rather than dividing it into earth and physical. And I see that as being a lot better for the kids because you're picking up on waves, you're taking it through every discipline in science.
Are systems in every discipline in science?
Yes.
Yeah. They are if you help students understand these cross-cutting concepts.
One thing that we talk about, recently in education is that when students leave school, we don't know really what lays ahead for them in terms of jobs and in terms of, if they go into science. And so I think if students have this connected, kind of network of knowledge, they realize that this concept I learned maybe in biology class, I can apply it other places. It's not limited to biology. And so therefore, when they go out into the workforce doing research in whatever setting, they can apply a concept learned in this setting to some setting that initially may seem totally different, but it really can be related.
They must become familiar touchstones. There's something that is brought up every day that the students use to support their understanding of science.
Go ahead and make any comment on your note catcher. And let's go ahead and go through some of these questions. Let's start with the teacher, Mr. Moldy. He was the teacher in this video. What was he doing and saying in the video?
Sorry, I was typing at the same time. So I think he did a great job of explaining what their focus was on the cross-cutting concepts and then gave them the phenomenon of why does a flag wave in the wind? And he asked, questions throughout their research as well, what's changing or kind of not really probing for the right answer because he wasn't looking for the right answer, but he was just leading some questions so they can go maybe in a different direction. And he treated everybody as equals too and let them do their own thing within their own groups.
Yeah, I love that. So some students, some of the learners in there, you stayed in the classroom. Some of them went outside. Some of them went in the hallway. Once again, we don't have that full autonomy. We have some, restrictions and stuff, but they didn't really give them much instruction after introducing that phenomenon. So they kind of had, free reign with that.
Yeah, so ask the teachers, students to expound on their ideas when they were explaining things. Like he said, what do you mean by more energy, when he was talking about if the steel plate would wave like the flag?
Yeah. And okay, what do you mean by that? Someone uses a student uses the vocabulary term. Okay, what is that to you? What do you mean by that? Kind of developing that common language. So when we talk about how that we're all using, using that common language. And again, that takes some planning, and it's going to take some, be like, okay, if there's something that you want to try, and give yourself some grace, I'm going to try this for a quarter, try this for a 9-week period and see how it goes. And then I'm going to, do one more thing, would be great. So it's little steps at a time. What were the learners doing and saying? The learners here being the students.
I was gonna say, the learners were the ones investigating the phenomenon and explaining what they were seeing and happening. And it also looked like there were some of them that after they did the flag, then they tried it with paper to see if they got the same results. So they were comparing if it was the same across different materials.
They're doing the investigation. They're doing the learning. They're doing the critical thinking. It's their investigation. They're making those connections. Like, okay, I wonder if they're asking questions. I wonder if it is the same for a sheet of paper. What's different between a sheet of paper, the material of a sheet of paper, and the material of the cloth? Or even, you can go beyond about the steel plate. What. Which cross-cutting concepts, here's asking questions. And what cross-cutting concepts did you find evidence of?
A lot of it was cause and effect, or what if this happened, or what if it did this here, or we changed this. So I saw a lot of cause and effect.
Yeah. What happens? Have you thought about changing this part? Yeah, because we all want to see, what happens in different situations. What happens with the paper, the notebook paper, the cloth, the steel plate?
I think structure and function had a lot to do with it when they were making them, along with scale.
Yeah.
The proportion there.
Yeah, I love that one group saw 2 triangles. They related that. They saw 2 triangles in the hypotenuse, and they were relating those mathematical concepts. Because again, giving this idea of integration, like we can use other thinking and other things that we know to find out the answer. We're not just limited to scientific thinking. And a lot of times, especially in middle school, students put us in silos and boxes. And because I'm also certified, I was certified to teach math as well. I ended up teaching, science, but we were doing indoor recess, and I did a study hall, and kids were asking me math questions. They're like, "Mr. White, you know how to do math? 6th grade math?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, it's important, first that, going to, graduate high school. So I, passed 6th grade, and then, I'm also certified, to teach math." So, they're like, "Wow," I'm like, "Yeah, we're all, and there's a lot of math in science." The system, I'll sell systems. What is one change in a system? There are patterns to scale the system. Absolutely. So we've almost gone through and named almost all of them. Okay, they were all there. They want to construct a solid connection, like solid connection to the SCPs. They wanted them to construct an explanation. Premium model. And then what's something that you want to remember and take away from this video?
My biggest takeaway is that I don't have to give them the answers. I can set up a premise where they can discover it for themselves. And it will be more internalized for them that way because they're taking ownership of their learning rather than me telling them what was important and what they need to know.
Engaging them in that process, they're discovering an explanation. And you're not that stage on a stage and you're the gatekeeper of information and just telling them, exactly like you said, what they need to know. They're engaging in that process. And it might look different for different groups. Like being a facilitator of a lesson. Yeah, we are going to, again, we're not those gatekeepers of information. They can find out, the information. Okay? But we want to design experiences in our classroom, okay, to provide, have opportunities for teamwork and the student discourse. We're going to provide those learning experiences that we can in the classroom. Okay, and be a facilitator, asking questions. Okay. Sometimes when I facilitate sessions, some teachers get frustrated that I don't tell them if they're right or wrong. Going back to the SCPs when you talked about, okay, not giving, the right answer, but you can justify an answer, justify a claim. Okay. And so it's not like, not just waiting for the correct answer to move on.
I was also thinking too that by having the students engage in the discourse and leading the conversations, you're not limiting viewpoints, because there may be something that someone saw that you may not have thought of or other people in the room did not think of.
Yeah. Okay. Just like the one for you, Jacqueline, yesterday or Monday, I was thinking about that, the numbering of the SCPs were not in order. And that's something that stuck with me because I was like, oh my gosh, that was a great viewpoint. That was a great notice, right? I looked at it so many times and, you just end up seeing the same thing. So you're seeing different viewpoints and seeing like, oh, I never thought about it that way. Okay. And then once you do that, then you're really changing students' conception. Yeah, and it was more engaging. It's more engaging for the students to be, involved in doing something, rather than just, okay, I'm just gonna sit here and take notes and, not do anything.
And more rigorous.
More rigor, yeah. Yeah. I mean, then, okay, now you did this investigation. What were your steps? Look at the steps of it. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so as we end our time here, Emily, if you'll put that link for the post assessments in the chat, and you can scan the QR code. And again, same question, same scale. And hopefully again, we made a step or steps forward in our thinking.
Hey, Brent, I think this is the SCP one.
Oh, okay, I put in the wrong. All right.
Yeah, let me make sure I've got I'm in the right. Yeah, I'm in the right planning document.
I have it up. I'll put the correct link. All right, let's try this one in the link. The link in the chat.
Wait.
Thank you for catching that for me. And if you have a few extra minutes, if you can finish early, you can go ahead and do the final reflection. Then we'll use the reflection of the video kind of as our closure and clarity. So we brought everything together. And then if we were still filling out the post-assessment, which is more than fine. I'm going to put up the QR code for the feedback survey, and if Emily, you'll drop that in the chat. So again, just like your Airbnb host, I consider it for a norm. You can scan the QR code or use the link in the chat. And again, this is more information that we'll give to the Education Oversight Committee about our effectiveness of our professional learning. You're so welcome, Lindsay. Thank you. If you'll just do me a favor and just do those forms for me. Perfect. And then, and I'm gonna listen and linger and everything else. And Emily, if you have anything that for them that you need to drop in the chat as well. And here's the contact information for my colleague and I. So you can reach out to us at any point. Email is easier. Our phones are set up, so you can call as well, but do not hesitate to reach out. And again, I'll listen and linger for any questions or comments. But again, I want to thank you for your time over the summer and for being so engaging and sharing your thinking. I really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. I've got to jump off right and get to another Zoom. Yay. But I want to say